will try to install some softwares. Okay, so I hope my screen is visible to you, and also I assume that you have joined using laptop, and at least i5 laptop you are having, and because these softwares are quite heavy in terms of the installations, and that needs some processing power, so it may not work on the laptop less than i5, for example i3 and like that. In such cases, some softwares may not work, or they may work little slow. So what we suggest, at least you should have the Intel i5. Recommended RAM is 4 GB, and also as far as the hard disk is concerned, it should be around 500 GB. It can be SSD or HDD, both are fine. Now the very first software that we need to install is Python 3.8.0. So if you go to the Python's website, and if you search for Python 3.8.0, then you will get so many options. I will provide you direct link in the chat. So this is for the Windows users, so Windows x86 64 executable installer. That's the link I'm sharing in the chat. So from here you can simply download this software and you can install it. So if you click on this link, it will automatically download this software in your computer, and we will have to run that setup. Now why Python 3.8.0 only? Why not any other version of Python? Because now currently the latest version is Python 3.12. But in some cases what happens, most of the libraries of Python, in case of latest version particularly, some of the libraries may not be compatible with the latest version of Python. So we will have to search for a stable version. So as this Python 3.8.0 is the older version, so it is quite stable. Secondly, as it is around, let's say 2 or 3 years ago it has launched, so there will be no issues in terms of most of the libraries. So that's why we are choosing Python 3.8.0 version. Secondly, is there any major difference between Python 3.8.0 and Python 3.12? So absolutely not. So in terms of syntax of the programming language, in terms of way the grammar is there for this particular language, there is no difference as such. In terms of libraries, some of the libraries may not work on 3.12, that might work on 3.8.0. Some of the libraries may not be working on 3.8.0 but might work on 3.12. So that is there in terms of libraries. But in terms of programming language and syntax, as both 3.8.0 and 3.12 are basically Python 3 only, so there is no difference. But in terms of Python 2 and Python 3, now Python 2 is officially discontinued. Python 2.7, it was the older version of Python, and Python 3, there is huge difference in terms of the syntax of the language. So once you download this software, so you will have to run this exe file like this. And once you run this exe file, now in my case I am seeing this modify option, but in your case you will get this option install now. But before that, here there will be a checkbox, add Python 3.8.0 to path. So keep in mind this checkbox is very important. So you have to check add Python 3.8.0 to path. This is very important. You should add this to path. After clicking this checkbox, you have to click on install now. As I have already installed this software, so I am seeing the modify option. So in your case there will be installation setup. So just click on add Python 3.8.0 to path and then click on install now, and just follow next, and then it will automatically install the Python in your computer. At the end it will say setup successful. That means the Python is installed in your computer. Okay, so for now I will close this setup. So just try this. Meanwhile I will we require one more software, and that is VS Code. So you might be having this software in your computer, but if you're not having, then I'm just giving the link in the chat. So this software is also required, the VS Code download. So this is lightweight version, and for Windows users we have to click on this option. I will okay, so direct download page, this link I will provide you in the chat. Okay, so this Visual Studio Code, so about this software, so this software is all about basically whenever you download and install Python, so it does provide some IDE. So IDE means the integrated development environment, where you can write your code, you can edit your code, or you can maintain your code. So for programming purpose, we need some software where we can start writing or building some codes. Now what happens in while after downloading a simple Python in your computer, it doesn't provide any professional IDE for code editing. So it has a simple IDE which is ideally but it cannot be considered as a professional software for programming purpose. So what we are doing, we are downloading one more software called Visual Studio Code, VS Code. It's a lightweight version of Visual Studio basically, and it's very small software. So you will have to download it and install it, this software. So again, after downloading, so if I click on the download, it will download .exe file, and it's around 95 MB. So this software we will have to download and install in your computer. So while installing, again I will tell you what exactly you will have to follow the steps. Okay, so now that's again one of the important software, and that software is required to write the codes. So it provides a code editor, and also it can execute the codes. The beauty of this software is that it is all in one solution. That means you can write programs in Python, HTML, CSS, JavaScript, also other tools like C#, even for the Arduino you can write programs from this. So after running this, I have already installed, but still I will run the setup again. So once you run this software, it will ask for this, so you have to accept this agreement and then next, and you have to click on all the options like create desktop icon and all this. You have to click on everything whatever is here, so even you can click on this as well. So basically this will add this software to the path so that you can install Python libraries from VS Code, and also open with code option. So I will shortly tell you what this option, this is very short. If you click on this, then you can open your coding folders in VS Code very easily by clicking some things. Okay, so these things are required, so click on all the options and then install now. So these are the two important softwares which are required, which will be minimum required in order to run the machine learning or AI codes. And as this software supports like this VS Code can also give you support for the HTML, CSS and JavaScript. So whatever web development that we are going to do, that can be easily that code can be easily maintained and edited using VS Code. So all in one solution for web development plus AI project. So almost even whatever projects we are going to do, every project will have the web interface for the ML project or any other project. So for that web interface plus the Python, all those things can be easily maintained and edited in one environment. So that is the advantage of using VS Code over others. So there are other tools like PyCharm, or you can use the Anaconda and Jupyter notebooks and all. But as our target is to create a web application using Python, so we need HTML, CSS, JavaScript coding as well as the Python coding, and everything should be edited in one single software, and that's why the Visual Studio Code is important to us. So these two softwares we will have to install. So I assume that you have installed these two softwares. Now how to check whether Python is successfully installed in our computer or not? So that in order to check that, you can simply open CMD. Once you open command prompt, CMD command prompt, here you can simply type Python space -- version. If you type this and hit enter, it should display Python 3.8.0. If not, that means there is some problem during the installation. You might have not checked this add Python 3.8.0 to path option. If you are not getting this message, then you will have to rerun the Python setup, then click on modify, and this time you will have to click on add Python to path button. So after, or add Python to environment variables. So after clicking that, you will be able to see Python 3.8.0 in your computer as well. So this is what we will check. Secondly, we should also ensure the VS Code is properly set up. Now in order to check that, so you will have to open the VS Code software. So I have, whatever you have installed, it will be having the shortcut key on the desktop. So you will have to click on this button. Okay, so right now we are here. Now you will have to click on, so in your case now this will not be there, so I will close the folder, so nothing will be there. So for the first time users, for the first time if you open the VS Code, you will see something like this, or you may see some welcome message or welcome window. You may close that window. So this will be the interface for the first time you open the VS Code. Now by default VS Code doesn't support Python programming. It doesn't have the Python interpreter integrated with the VS Code. So what we have to do, we need to install that thing as well, and in order to install that thing, you will have to click on this extensions button. Then after clicking the extensions button, you will have to search here for Python. Okay, so now I clicked on this extensions button, then I will click on this, or I will search here for Python, and then I will get so many options for Python. So the very first option, which is from the Microsoft, so you will have to click on this one. Now in my case I am getting here disable and uninstall options, but in your case you will get install button, because this is for the first time you are going to install the Python extension on the VS Code. So if you click on install, this Python extension will be installed in our system or in our VS Code, and once it is installed, we can write Python codes in VS Code, and even we can execute all the Python codes in VS Code. For HTML, CSS, the Visual Studio Code has the default support, so no need to worry about it. But for the Python, we need extension in the VS Code, so you can always download some extensions from this button. In future, whenever you need some other extensions, then you can simply scroll it down here and you can click on this extensions button, and then you can download and install this thing. So two things we have done. So first of all, we have installed Python software, Python 3.8.0. Secondly, we installed VS Code. Thirdly, we checked whether Python is detected at command prompt, and it was available at the command prompt. Everything was fine. Now the next important step is to install the required libraries of Python. Now there are some specific versions or certain versions of libraries, like we need libraries for web development, we need libraries for let's say the machine learning, deep learning. Also we need libraries some for image processing. Also we need libraries for the graphs like matplotlib, numpy, and all those things. So there are so many libraries we will have to install, and I will give you one single command. Using that command, you will be able to install all the required libraries in the Python environment for Python 3.8.0. And once these libraries are installed, we will be able to write basic programming or even the advanced codes in the machine learning and AI. Now for that purpose, again, make sure this is fine, that you are getting 3.8.0, and then I will give you one command. Also I assume that you can, if it is installing, if it is still installing, keep it open, let it install. It will take some time. And now I will tell you the libraries that we will have to install in the Python. So I have some bunch of libraries, or there's some specific versions of those libraries, and these things I will provide in the meeting chart. So this is the libraries, this is the list of libraries. What you will have to do, simply copy this everything and paste here. So simply you will have to copy all those things, and onto the command prompt you will have to copy and paste and then hit enter. So copy these things, paste it here and hit enter. Make sure Python version 3.8.0 is detected by your command prompt. Okay, so now hit enter. It will take some time. It may take 30 minutes or 15 minutes depending on your internet connection, and it will install all the necessary packages. Out of these, there are some libraries like Flask, Workzik, Int is Dangerous, Jinja 2. These libraries are for web development. Then there are some libraries like OpenCV, even like IMUtils. These are the libraries for image processing, even the Pillow. So OpenCV, Pillow, IMUtils, these are the libraries for image processing. Now there are some libraries called TensorFlow, Keras. So these libraries are for deep learning, that is for the neural network. So if we are using neural network algorithms or deep learning algorithms, then we need TensorFlow and Keras. And there are some libraries like pandas, matplotlib, numpy. So these libraries are for related to what we can say the data manipulations. It is mostly related for the data processing, pre-processing. So for example, we download some data sets, so we have to pre-process them. So for that purpose, the pandas, numpy, matplotlib. So basically pandas is related to handling the CSV files, data frames, or the data sets we can control using pandas library. Even the data set cleaning and all can be easily taken care by the pandas library. Matplotlib is for the graphical visualization of data. So you can visualize the graphs, you can plot some graphs using matplotlib. And numpy is related to the arrays handling. So one-dimensional arrays, two-dimensional arrays, three-dimensional, or even n-dimensional arrays can be handled by numpy arrays. So most of the time, so whatever data sets we download, that can be in terms of vector. So whenever we take single entry from that data set, so that can be a vector of one dimension or two dimension or even multiple dimensions. So that can be handled by numpy. So the NumPy is the library which will be required for machine learning, deep learning algorithm. It's a basic supportive library in terms of data set handling. Then scikit-learn. Scikit-learn is the machine learning library which will implement all the machine learning algorithms. For example, decision tree classifier, random forest, linear regression, and so on. So all those things can be, or such kind of functions can be easily found in scikit-learn library. So all these libraries we are installing, and these are the specific versions which we require in our code. So just type this, just paste this command from the chart and hit enter. All these libraries will be installed. Now we will, if you have any queries and doubts, if you are not able to install it properly, you can ask your questions now. If anyone is having trouble, not able to install, or having some doubts regarding the software installation, then you can ask your questions. Okay, no questions. Okay, fine. So I assume that you have entered here. After hitting enter, it will start downloading and installing the libraries. It may give some warnings, so we'll ignore those warnings. Sometimes it may give errors related to incompatibility, like for example, this version of NumPy is not compatible with that and like that. So we'll ignore those warnings for now. We are not bothered about those things. So at the end, it might give some errors like something is not compatible with. So this compatibility errors we'll ignore. Warnings we will ignore, but in case the setup is failed, that will be the error which we should address. In spite of some those warnings and errors, if it installs all the libraries, then it doesn't matter. The compatibility errors are okay. Now those are having the hardware thing in their project. They need one more library, one more software to install, and that is the Arduino IDE. So you have to search for the Arduino software download in Google. So once you search for Arduino software download, so here Arduino 2.0 0, and when the latest previous versions are also available, you can click on this one, and then it will open this particular thing. So the latest available version for Windows is IDE 2.3.2, and so for Windows 10 or newer, so you can go with this first option or the second option. So I will recommend this second option, that is the MSI installer. So with this, if you click on this, it will ask for donation, but we can click on just download. Okay, so as it is open source project, it's not a commercial license and all, so it is purely open source, and the license is available for free of cost. So just to support them, they ask for the donations, but we need not to donate anything. You can simply download, or just click on just download button. It will download .msi file. Okay, once you download that .msi file, you will have to click on install, and you have to run that, then click on next, next, next. During installation, sometimes it will ask for certain packages, and these packages are mostly from Adafruit Industries. So Adafruit Industries is one more company which manufactures these sensors and many microcontroller and microprocessor development boards. So basically these packages are nothing but the drivers, hardware driver softwares, which are required to interface the hardware with PC. So most of the time it will ask for those packages and libraries. So you will have to install everything. So all those things, you just click on install, 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 and then it will install all the packages and all the drivers related to the hardware in your computer. So next time whenever you want to connect Arduino to your laptop or any Node MCU microcontroller with your laptop, then you will be able to interface it very easily. So that's the software. So just download and install it. So this much is required in order to set up the computer for the machine learning and the IoT related hardwares as well. And with this setup, you will be able to run the machine learning codes as well as the AI applications or deep learning codes, and also you will be able to interface the hardware components in your computer very easily. So now if you are having any queries and doubts, if you are not able to install something, or if you are getting some trouble or queries, then you can ask. Is there any issue during installation? Are you able to install all the softwares? Or you may raise your hand. Those who have installed successfully, they can raise their hand so that I can understand that you are able to install it. Okay, so Python 3.12.3, that is the version you are having. So as I said, some of the libraries may not work on 3.12.3 version of Python. So for that purpose, what you can do, so if you want to keep 3.12.3 version, then you can simply create new user in your computer, just like we have the user accounts in your computer. So you can create a new user in your computer, and in that new user you can install Python 3.8.0. So your primary account will be what existingly you are using, so that will be there, and that will use Python 3.12.3 version. And in a new system or in a new user login in your computer, you will install these libraries and this thing, so that this will only be for project. Because in future what happens, you will have to run so many Python codes and all during your college or during your course. So for that time you may install so many different libraries and other stuff, so that if you install something else, for example now we are installing specific versions of Flask, TensorFlow and all. So if you install some other version of TensorFlow or Flask, the previous version will be deleted and the new version will come, and in that case your code will fail to work because it has some specific requirement. So that's why I am suggesting, so what I will recommend, you create a new user in your computer, and that user is just for project work, for this project only. And in that system or in that user login, you can install the specific versions of Python and these libraries, so that that will remain intact and will not change in future. Is there any other queries? If someone is having any doubts, queries, or you can even share your screen. If you are getting some errors now, you can share your screen, we will check. Okay, so that much is fine. So this much is okay. So with this, near about most of the libraries we have installed, and in some cases, in some specific projects, we will have to install some specific version. That's it. Otherwise, almost 90% work is done in terms of software setup, and keep it as it is, so that in future you will be able to run your machine learning codes. Okay, so this much is required. So if you're not having any queries and doubt, we can conclude with the session. Or if you're having any queries, you can ask now. We'll wait for 4 to 5 minutes more, and after that we'll conclude the session. ओके अगर किसी को कोई भी डाउट होगा, कुछ समझ में नहीं आया या फिर कुछ लाइब्रेरी इंस्टॉल नहीं हुआ है, तो यू कैन आस्क. वी विल वेट फॉर 4 to 5 minutes, और आफ्टर 4-5 minutes हम लोग मीटिंग क्लोज कर देंगे. Okay, so now how to identify कि everything is successfully done. So आपको ना जब सब कुछ installation हो जाएगा, तो at the end you will get the yellow warning in the yellow regarding upgradation of the pip और this kind of path. Windows का ये जो path होता है आपके कंप्यूटर का अलग होगा. C यूज़र जनरली आपका कुछ अलग भी हो सकता है डिपेंडिंग ऑन योर कंप्यूटर्स नेम. तो आपको यहाँ पे ये पाथ डिस्प्ले हो जाएगा. सो वंस यू गेट दिस पाथ एंड ऊपर मैसेज आएगा कि सक्सेसफुली इंस्टॉल्ड सम पैकेजेस, तो लंबी लिस्ट आएगी पैकेजेस की. सो एट दैट टाइम everything is successfully installed. After that you can close your command prompt and you can close your computer as well. So that's the thing. And इसके just पहले आपको एक yellow warning होगा in yellow color. That warning is for the pip. It is asking, or it might be asking to upgrade the pip version. So do not upgrade the pip version, keep it as it is, because the latest version of pip may not be able to install some libraries which are required for 3.8.0. So keep it as it is, do not upgrade the pip. But once you get that yellow warning, that means the libraries are installed along with this kind of path. This should be printed again. Then your libraries are done, the installation is complete. After that you can close this window. Okay, so now we assume that everything is done and everybody has installed it properly. In case you get any errors, you can post me in your respective groups. And for now, we will conclude with the meeting. Or you are having any queries? So if you are having any queries, you can raise your hand or you can ask. Otherwise, we will conclude the meeting. Okay, so we conclude with the meeting. Okay, thank you for attending. Thank you. Bye.